What? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Jonathan Dearman Show, the least political show. And oh my gosh, guys, in so many ways, people on the far left have gone nuts. And yes, I clarify people on the far left because there are some people that are liberal or liberal-leaning that do not adopt a lot of this nonsense. But let me just go over some things that have been crazy. Since the abortion ruling that the Supreme Court looks like it's going to land on has been leaked, there's been some crazy responses that have come out. One of my favorite, I was looking at this California abortion rights organization, and I went on their Instagram, and I found this picture. Look at this. It's a picture that has a sign being held up that says, "Women aren't the only people who have abortions." What? Women aren't? I love, in fact, there's a comment where somebody asked, very wisely, who else has abortions beside women? You may be confused right now. Maybe you don't get what they're talking about. There are trans men, which are women who identify as a male, that they are saying that those people, because they identify as a male, they are actually biologically now, or I don't know, gender maybe, a male. Women that identify as a male can obviously still biologically get pregnant and therefore have abortions. I don't know if you've remembered this whole movement that started happening. It started like several months ago that had this idea of not calling women pregnant women, but calling them birthing people, to include and to be inclusive towards transgender men, again, which are females who identify as being a man. That's ridiculous to call them birthing people. What kind of a world are we living in? Guys, that this is becoming mainstream, that this is not just some crazy outlier stuff that's happening. This is becoming more of a socially accepted position, which is crazy. Where now, apparently, not only women can have abortions, but non-women can also have an abortion. So this is not even a woman's right issue. But it's funny because a few months ago, there was the whole birthing people movement, which is just crazy. But it seems like a lot of people have forgotten about that movement since this leak came out. And so now you have people that are way on the far left that are totally a part of the leftist movement that's happening, like Gavin Newsom, who tweeted out saying, "Our daughters, sisters, mothers, and grandmothers will not be silenced." Well, Gavin Newsom, I officially cancel you because you forgot that not only women get abortions. Gavin, didn't you forget that? Not only women can have abortions. You remember when Ketanji Brown, who is being added into the Supreme Court, was asked to define the word woman and said that she couldn't define the word woman because she's not a biologist? Guys, we're getting so smart that we're getting stupid. That's what's happening. And you feel like you are so woke and you are so aware now of reality that you actually become less aware of reality. For someone to ask me, define what is a turtle? And if I say, I'm not a biologist, I can't tell you what a turtle is. Now, I can tell you what a turtle is. They're little creatures that have a shell, right? They swim in the water, okay? You get my point. But these things should be easy for us to define, guys. Women have different chromosomes and obviously have female genitalia. We're just living in a crazy time. I don't know if you guys saw this, but just recently a headline came out saying that 2 inmates at an all-women's New Jersey jail are now pregnant after both had sex with transgender prisoners. This is because the ACLU won the battle to house 27 trans inmates there. What? In an all-female prison, there are now females that are getting pregnant by transgender females, which are men that identify as women. How crazy is that? Why wouldn't any man identify before going to jail as a transgender woman? If I were to go to jail, I would rather be in a woman's prison than in a man's prison. And let me tell you what it honestly does, by the way. It makes it less safe for these women. This is identified as progress, but you know who's really getting kicked to the curb during all of this? Is females. Females are getting kicked to the curb. That's why even in female sports, males who identify as females are starting to more and more win championships because there is a biological difference between a male and a female, regardless of how you identify. There is a biological difference that identification refuses to change. It does not change based on how you identify. I could identify as 68. It doesn't change the fact that I am 27 years old. Age is not something that is subject to change, and neither, in my opinion, is your biology. There's not a single transgender person that I hate, dislike, wish was gone, or wish any harm came towards at all. But what I do wish is that our society would not take those that are struggling with something and pretend that this is not a struggle, pretend that it's actually reality when it's not reality. Listen, I'm all for love, but I'm also for truth. Be loving, but let's speak the truth in love. Let's not pretend that things are something that they aren't for the sake of making people feel better. And we're now seeing the realities of what happens when we do this, when we elevate the sensitivity over truth. We're seeing what happens now. You're having pregnant females at an all-women's prison, which again is crazy. You have transgender women, which are again men that identify as women, winning more and more sports championships, breaking records, and all this because there is a biological difference between men and women. And again, I want to give credit where credit is due. This is not all people that lean left. This is not all liberals. This is not all people that identify or are Democrats. These are people on the fringes of the left, on the radical left, but it's getting closer and closer to the middle, guys. The middle is shifting left, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. The culture is shifting left, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And this is becoming more and more widely accepted and tolerated as reality. And again, I'm not for hating anybody. Let's keep truth. Let's be loving. But you can do whatever you want, by the way. I stand for that somebody is allowed to identify as transgender, that they are allowed to. This is a free country. But that doesn't mean that they now should be in a sports league with my daughter or my sister or something like that because they identify as something. And many people would consider this, by the way, hateful rhetoric. And I'm not trying to be hateful, but many people would say that I am evil for holding this position. And I'm okay with that. But I don't believe society should cave to what it is that you identify as and change all the societal norms and affect, again, primarily, the worst of all, affect women negatively to cave to each person's own identification, period. And so Ketanji Brown, who's now on the Supreme Court, couldn't define a woman. By the way, there are some people that are saying that she's only getting pushback because she's African-American and a woman. Clarence Thomas is also an African-American man who's been on the Supreme Court for many years and gets absolutely no credit from the left for being one of the only African Americans to be on the Supreme Court. I'm great. I would love to see more diversity on the Supreme Court. I'm great with that. I care less about that, though, than I do about the ideas they stand for and believe in. I care less about that than their values. The most important thing is their values, because the values are what's going to affect millions and tens of millions and hundreds of millions of Americans, because the values are what comes into play when the judgments come. Ethnicity does not come into play. Gender does not come into play. Values come into play when decisions are being made. So that is, of course, the most important thing. So let me know if you guys think that I'm crazy, you guys think that I'm way off base. Am I too aroused up by this, or not aroused up? That's not the right word. Am I getting too angry about this? Even Jared, the camera guy, is recognizing that's not the right word. Am I getting too riled up? Thank you. Riled up. Am I getting too riled up by this, guys? Am I getting too frustrated by this? Let me know in the comments, guys. As always, I strive. I'm not perfect at it, but I strive to be fair. I strive to be reasonable. I strive to be more loyal to my principles and values versus a political party. And I am not a partisan person, by the way. A partisan person determines where they stand based on which party is saying what. I don't care what party's saying what. I will stand where my values lie, and I definitely lean conservative. But regardless of where the political parties are, I will stand for what I believe is true. So if the Republican Party or the Democratic Party leaves what I believe, I'm not going with them. I'm going to stay where I believe at least my very best. I'm imperfect, but I'm going to try my best to stay with what I believe and where my values are over any political party. So if you guys appreciate that, if you guys like this video or like what I'm trying to do with this channel, leave a like, leave a comment down below, guys. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. If you think I'm crazy off base, let me know. I'd love to hear it. And other than that, I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see you guys at the next Jonathan Dearman show. Peace out.